Hi there, this is Bridget from the PlannerSpeechie. Welcome. Today I'm going to be planning for Father's Day week in my Press inserts for June. I'm going to be using this pop culture mini kit from Scribble Prints Co. called The Breakfast Club. If you've never seen this film, please go watch it. It's fantastic. I'm using this kit for a couple of reasons. One, it's Father's Day, and this was a movie that I used to watch with my dad when I was a kid, and I loved it. The other thing is it's the last week of school, and so I felt like this was really appropriate. So it works on multiple levels, but this is the mini version of the kit. I debated getting a second ultimate one just to use for this week, but I'm actually glad that I didn't because I don't think I'm going to have a ton of stuff to log this week. So you've got the 5 main characters. You've got the room that they spend the entire movie in. Little flat lay here with the actual letter written out. The deco is really fun, although it's a little repetitive. Then you have a second scene here where they're all chatting in the library, which I think is great. Then these are all the flags that came with this kit, so I had to get creative. This is the washi. I think it's really fun. And that's the whole kit. So I actually I had some left over from my Hocus Pocus kit, and I feel like the colors are similar enough that I can like get away with it. I have a couple of, this is a totally different shop, Caress Press, but again, I think I can probably sneak some of those flags in. And then I'm getting a little crazy with the underlays. So I have these underlays called papers. They're solid, they're really fun. I think this is just very appropriate for end of school. And then I wanted to do a couple of fun things. So I have this extra sheet from Scribble Prints Co. in this like sparkly rose color that I thought would be really fun to mark like various things. And then I have this leftover black from the couple of weeks ago. So I have some extra sheets and overlays left over. So those are underlays left over from that. And then this is a full bundle. This is like, I think it's like black checker hollow and stars. So it's black, but you have, I'll see if I can find like a close-up of, so those are the underlays that I'm not using because I'm going to use my other ones. But this is an older format and you can see, well, I guess maybe it's better here. You can, my ring light is being crazy. You can kind of see like the checkery pattern. It's really hard to tell. It's basically squares, but they're black. So I'm not going to do a talk through because it's too hard. Sorry. So I'm going to speed things up and come back in a voiceover.
Hi everybody, welcome back to another Plan with Me. So this week's art features the incredible Breakfast Club. I love this movie so much. My father showed it to me when I was a kid. It was one of those movies where like when your dad picks the movie, you expect it to be a certain way, and I was like shocked that he picked this movie for me. And we watched it together, and it was just so fun and so ridiculous. I did look up a couple of things about the movie, just some trivia that I thought was really interesting. For example, there's a scene that's actually depicted in the art where they're kind of all sitting talking to each other about how they landed in detention. And apparently, the entire scene was ad-libbed by the actors, which I think gives you a sense of how committed the actors were to these characters and how much personality that they really poured into the characters from themselves. Another thing that I thought was kind of interesting was that Ali Sheedy, who plays sort of the crazy girl, was the one who suggested that Claire be eating sushi. Originally, she was supposed to be eating pasta salad, but yeah, so that was kind of crazy. But also, there were a couple of scenes where, like, for example, Judd Nelson um, is about to get punched in the face and he flinches. And apparently, that flinch was real because he actually thought that Richard Vernon was going to beat him up. But the whole concept of this film is like a bunch of misfits are all in trouble. They're all kind of stuck together. They would never really be together unless something was going on like this. And so it's kind of a fascinating movie, and I love it. And every kid between the ages of like 12 and 17 should see this movie. But I think adults will appreciate it also. I love the art in this kit. I thought it was perfect. And I wish, instead of having the empty library, that they had like all of them dancing or something. Um, but because each box was about a specific character, I ended up like wanting to use all of it. I think there were two I didn't use because there was like a flat lay and something else. So I had these really cute notebook papers. They actually go with another kit, but I thought they went perfectly with this because the kids all have to write a letter saying why they're in detention. And I held on to these papers for a while specifically to use with this kit. And so I think that made it really fun. And then later, when I start putting everything down, you can see I was able to use a lot of that background. I did sort of forget that there was going to be like black on black with this, but I think it's okay. I think it actually looks really good. You can't really tell that it's like a checkerboard hollow pattern until you turn the foil over, but it was still fun to put down. And now I have all these extra black underlays that I can use with another kit. I actually already know where I'm going to use them, so very helpful. The funny thing is that I actually meant to not color block because I didn't think I would have enough of the flags to make it work. And then as I was actively planning it, I had already started to color block. So you're going to see that. That's coming up. But this was a crazy week for me. I definitely had a lot of high emotions running. It was the last week of school, and we had a bunch of teacher work days. So I basically worked every day this week except for Friday. And then, of course, I had the weekend off. But this was sort of the start of my summer, and it was also Father's Day weekend. So I thought that this kit was very appropriate. And I'm sorry if the foil is so shiny, you can't really see some of their faces. The only thing is, I don't remember his hair being blonde, Emilio Estevez. I know it was like a light brown, but I didn't think it was like blonde. Um, but I had two scenes, so I ended up cutting one of the full boxes in half so I could get more of that. And then the rest of the overlays just worked really, really well. I think I used Deco for the tall box. But the nice thing about having the black stars is that they really showed up on the headers. So I think it all worked out. And I'm sorry that these Plan With Me's are so delayed. Like, I know that I'm about a month behind in terms of uploading. So I think this week I'm hoping that I can release two Plan With Me's just to catch myself up a little bit. It was helpful to have the lag because I was in New York last week, and so I didn't really have time to plan and film, and so it was nice to be a little behind. There we go. I used the black stars for this. Um, but yeah, and then just making sure that I had enough of everything. The deco was really fun. Oh, I'm sorry that you can't see what I'm doing. I used Claire's glasses, and then I used the, I don't know if that's a VHS or a DVD. I think it's a DVD, but I really loved putting all of this deco together, and it was really fun. I tried, there's the letter, which if you actually look at it is accurate to what was in the film. I mean, I'm not 100% sure who did this art. I want to say it was Kitness Jess, but I'm not sure. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this part, and I'm going to get into the plan with day by day right now.
Hi there. Okay, so I am doing this plan with me very long after the fact. It's been actually over a month since I last looked at this, and so you're gonna have to bear with me on this one because I have a mini kit, so I have to figure out how to divide everything up, and then I have um, a memory backlog, so we're just gonna sail through it. It's gonna be fun. All right, so the first thing I'm going to mark was that it was the last day of school for one of my schools. So I work in two different schools on alternating days. So on Mondays, I work in one school. On Tuesdays, I work in another school. Tuesday was technically the last day of school for students in the district, but because I wasn't going to be at my school A on Tuesday, I had to say, like, this was my last day of school for those students. And so I'm just going to go ahead and mark that. And I have this very cute sticker from Once More with Love, just last day of school. Oh, so precious. This was kind of wild. I wasn't pulling students this day for therapy. I pulled one group. Remember that group from last week who wanted to make the slime? Well, I finally had them. I pulled them, and the child who wanted me to make slime would not touch the slime. I could not believe it. This child was very averse to that sensory feeling. So I asked, why did you want to make slime so much? And the child was just like shrugging his shoulders. So now I know better, and I will never put myself through that again. But it was a really fascinating experience. So I got up early. I prepped for it. Um, I did have the students, and I'll just write that in off camera because I don't really want to share like where I work on camera for obvious reasons. Um, so I was doing a lot of work, work this day. And that included session notes, which I have this very cute sticker from the foil bundle here. Hold on. Where did my tweezers go? They're there. So I was working on finishing up my session notes. And this script is from PlannerSpeechie. Wow. I pulled this so long ago that it doesn't even want to stick. Let's see. And then, so I'm kind of cheating, guys. I had to cut up like a heart checklist just to like get through all of this. Crazy. But I did do progress reports. I'll just cover that up. And that that sticker is from Carly Plans, and then this is from the script is from Carly Plans also. And I had a kind of in my feelings moment, which was a little complicated for me. I'll just put it that way. It was just emotional. It was an emotional day. I found out good news about a friend who I was very close with, who was also doing IVF, and she shared with me that she was in fact pregnant, which was really exciting. Now, let me get this, out and clear. I was very, very happy for her, but I was also at the same time very sad because it made me feel lonelier somehow than it had in the past, because this person started trying, um, like with medical methods, um, started in January, and by June she was pregnant. Whereas I started doing IVF and IUI back in 2023. So this has been kind of a rough process for me. But I'm very happy for her. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled. It was just an emotional hit. I'll put it that way. But I wished her well. I wished her congratulations. I'm really happy for her. And so yeah, that was important to me. So I'll use this cute little flag here to note that I was at work for the majority of the day, saying like goodbye to students and talking to teachers, and it was kind of emotional because everybody was exhausted and kind of worn out. So, but that sticker is from the Beautiful Nest Plans Co., and that's from the foil bundle. And then we came home, and you know what? I'm just going to use this movie marquee because it's easier. I came home and watched Mad Men with my husband. So Mad Men will get its own movie marquee. And I think we watched the last episode of the whole show this day. All right. So moving on to Tuesday. So I did mention that I have school I see kids in 2 different schools. So this was day number 2 of the last day of school, but this was the real last day of school. And I actually got to go to a graduation for this one. So, I actually should have switched those two now that I'm thinking about it, but that's okay. Oh, look, I have the script. Okay, well, I'll put it back because I'm not going to waste a script. I'll have to put it back in this was from the Carly Plans sampler, and I must have totally forgotten that it was there, but I don't waste scripts, so I'll just put that back. Okay. So then I did have to do progress reports, and I'll use a little sticker to mark that. I did do work also, sort of similar to the other day. I wasn't really doing like speech therapy. It was more saying goodbye to everyone. There was what was it? There was a graduation, and a couple of my 5th graders were graduating, and that was really important to me that I get to go, and I'm really glad that I did because I took pictures, and one of the parents was like running late, and so she missed part of her child's speech, but because I had pictures and video, like she was able to look at it later, so that was helpful for her. I was still in my feelings from the day before, and really what I mean by that is there was a lot going on like in my head about just infertility in general, and so I was really frustrated and having a moment, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, ugh, I feel so yucky. Why do I feel like this? You know, I'm still happy for her. It's going to happen for me. I just have to be patient. I was like in a heightened emotional state. And then, then I found out why. And because this thing is so cute, I am just going to put this like in the middle like this with my little shark sticker, and that should be enough of an explanation. But I was really, really excited to get my period. I know that doesn't sound exciting, but it was for reasons I will explain. Basically, in order for me to jumpstart the process for anything else that I wanted to happen, like nothing else was going to happen until that did. So with that, I was able to start to move forward. And so for that reason, I was just really happy. And then we actually went out. It was a like the end of year party was happening at this brewery. And so we went. I went. Sorry, not we. I went. And it was great. Oh, and we also got good news about test results. And that was great. So overall, the day ended much better than it started. One other thing that was kind of fun, the last day of school, we had like a train running of the different teachers in special ed. We went out into the parking lot with like bubbles and noisemakers. We had speakers, and we just sort of like made a parade at the end of the day for our kids for drop off, and it was so cute. I loved it. Yeah. Oh, look, and I'm now realizing that I purposefully did not color block so that I wouldn't be in trouble. But oh well, I already started doing it, so fun. Okay, so Wednesday. How many things am I marking? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm not sure what this little star is for. I don't remember. So I might not mark it. Okay. So maybe 7 things. All right. So we'll do this first. The first thing I'll mark was that I was really, really tired. I did not sleep well the night before. I didn't even have that much to drink. I think I had like 2 beers, maybe. But I was not feeling fabulous at all. But the nice thing about teacher work days is that you don't have to get up super duper early. You can be a little later. And I think I was pretty good. So I did have to do a lot of work. And I will use a bigger thing to mark that. I'll use like this guy to mark that I had work. And that is from Stick with the Plan Co. And that is from the bundle. So I had to do a bunch of different things, including I actually put that here, but I think I'm going to move it down below because I didn't really do that much cleaning this day. On Wednesday. I did it really on Thursday. So I'm going to move that down here. I did have to do some professional development, which is pretty boring. Wow, and I'm looking at this and seeing how crooked this is, but you know what? We're just going to leave it. We're just going to leave it. Okay. So I did have to do some professional development, and I'm actually just going to take this and this little sticker guy right here and put it in the center like that. So I did have to do some professional development. That's really crooked. Oh, geez. The other thing that's kind of cute about these back, these end paper things is that they're, I can fill in the space and it still looks cute. So I'm just going to let that live. Live and let live. So really quick after work, I did do a little bit of grocery shopping. So that would have been on the side. So I'll do it like this. And this was just sort of a preliminary, like I was trying to get my chores done before I went and got everything ready. So I'll use this little bear. This is from Carly Plans. And then that just says grocery shopping. And then Frank and I had a quick dinner at home. Oh wait, I just used that. Okay. Quick dinner at home first. It was Sushi Wednesday, so that was the other part of that. That is so crooked. Okay. Sorry, that's gonna bother me if I don't fix that. Okay. So we've got this going like that. Okay, that's better. So I had dinner with my husband, and then really quick, I hopped in the shower and we decided that we were going to go to this end of year party. Guess where it was? You won't believe it. 11 Lakes Brewing. So same place, different crowd. And, I was really excited, looking forward to going to this, not only because my husband was going to come with me, which was really exciting, but also because I was trying really hard. I wanted to bond with my coworkers. I feel like this is the time to do it. People, it was a very different setup than it was the night before. The night before, it had been very casual. Everybody paid for whatever they wanted. This time there were drink tickets, there was food, which I didn't know was going to be there. Otherwise, we wouldn't have eaten before. But people came and they had changed their clothes and dressed up. So I'm really glad that I showered and looked nicer and changed my clothes. But the whole time, every time I tried to talk with my coworkers, they weren't really chatty with me. They were a little quiet, and I felt very, very lonely, and I was embarrassed, and I was like thankful my husband was there. And then I had one coworker who was really, really nice, and I started chatting with her, and she was new this year too, and we just started talking on the couch and connecting, and it was lovely to talk to her. And then we found out that we have like multiple friends in common that we had worked with previously, and we were so excited that we had all these acquaintances, and we were like, let's get together next week with everybody and it'll be really fun. And I was like, this is so great, let's do it. And so that made me feel better. But like my direct coworker that has the same position as me, she was there with her husband. She didn't say hi to me once. It was just really awkward. I felt really weird about it. And I sort of decided, like, from now on, I'm just going to go to work and I'm going to be pleasant and cordial and nice to everybody. But I don't know. It was like weird vibes. And I hadn't really felt like that at my previous schools where I had to, like, it just didn't feel great. So, but anyway, so that was my experience. And I'm just going to go ahead and put that there. And I've got another beer thing here. I don't like when those look like so close to being the same, but it was. Anyway, but I was really grateful that Frank went with me. And so that is the first half of the week. Okay. So for the second half of the week, we have some more things to discuss. So this was the second teacher work day, and this was the last day for everyone in the district, teachers included. So the first thing I'll mark is that I did go into work and I had to do some major cleaning. So I'm gonna mark, I'm gonna use this to mark work. And I have this really cute, like, girl from Sweet Ava's paper to mark that I went into work. The biggest thing that I had to do was clean my speech room. And when you clean, you have to do the entire oh, you know what? Hold on. I'm going to put that down here because I did a couple of other things first. Okay. So, yeah, I did a lot of other things first. Okay. So, I went to work and I had to get signed out of my room. I also had to finish up a couple of session notes, if you can believe that. And that was crazy because it was the very end of the year, but I finished. I did all of my session notes. Everything was billed to Medicaid. I was very proud of myself. And yeah, that was just kind of a tough day. So then the next thing I'll mark is I had an eligibility meeting, if you can believe that. Last week I had a meeting that we did not have enough testing information for. And so we ended up having to have this second meeting, and that almost like went over and I had a hard out. So I was like, guys, I have to leave. And I left early and I didn't even really say goodbye to a lot of people, but I was like, you know what? I have to go. Like, I can't keep doing this. I have to go. I'm actually really worried that you're not going to be able to see this at all just because of the black on black, but and I'm doing this out of order a little bit. So I actually I turned in my keys, left that school, went back to my other school, and I had to clean out my room and just make sure that everything was cleaned out. I did do some of it the day before, but not all of it. And so this is a cleaning toys sticker from Sweet Ava's paper. Bless her for like having that. I've never seen that in any other shop. So great job. So I finished the eval report from the student that I had tested the previous week on the 6th, and I proofed it, I printed it, I submitted it. It's in the file. So I felt really good about that because A, I feel like I wouldn't have had a great memory if I'd had to write this report weeks and weeks and weeks later being out of school. And B, this means that if every other member of the team has completed the report, somebody over the summer can hold the meeting and just read my report and be done with it. So that was really helpful. And then, so that was great. And then after that, I came home, Can you hear my cat howling in the background? Because I can. You know what? I'll do it like this. I'll do this, and then I'll use this like this guy at the very end. And so I called my mom, and she was a little frazzled about something. So we cleared stuff up, but I was a little concerned about her in that moment, but she's fine. And then I watched TV. And I gotta tell you, like, it still did not feel like I was on summer vacation. And I can't believe, even now, sitting here, that I've been out of summer vacation for almost a month. It doesn't feel like that. It has gone by so fast. Okay, moving on. Friday. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things to mark, and a lot of them are little things. So let's go ahead and just mark. The first thing that I did was I took out the trash. And I was still on my like work schedule. I did not sleep in. I wish that I had, but I did not. The next thing I'll mark is that I took a shower. I probably should have showered like the night before, but I was so tired that I just did not feel like it. I'll just do. And of course, it was Friday the 13th. And then I'll use this. Actually, I'll put that on the bottom. I did have to go to my doctor. And this was to like start my pre-stim cycle, the pre-stim protocol. So I went to my doctor at 7 a.m. And then I did mark that I read. That little bear is from Carly Plans, and then that sticker is from the bundle. And I had breakfast. I watched the Titan documentary also. Whew, that was tough to watch. I did do a little bit of phone rot with games. I read, this was Dante's Inferno. I did get cleared for medications, which was really good. And then I was just excited to be able to watch TV with my husband. And so we did do that. This is a very cute sticker from Stick with the Plan Co., but it is huge. And then the last thing I'll mark, this was really sad. So my friend's dog, Keely, passed away this day. And so I have a little angel sticker for Keely. I'm just gonna do that. That was a hard day. So that was Friday the 13th. All right. So now let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So I am just gonna do this first. I'm just gonna throw this down here on the bottom, and I'll do see, now I have to work backwards. I'll do that, and then I'll do that. And then I'll do that. Okay. So that's 4. And then I'll do this big one here. 5. And I'll do 6. 7. Oh, actually, I'm going to shift this down. Sorry. Okay. I'm going to rejigger this, put this closer so that I have room on the top for the big one. Okay. And it's probably going to overlap a little bit, but yeah. All right, and I'm really bad at these. There we go. So it wasn't great, but that's okay. All right, so the first thing I'm going to mark is that I woke up around 6 a.m. and I fed the cats. I also made avocado toast. So this says coffee run, but it's not really a coffee run. It was just me running around my own kitchen making coffee. Then I did some TV time for myself. I was very lazy this day, not gonna lie. I watched The Good Place and I did some phone rot. And I did some cross stitching. Look, I'm covering up a heart with a heart. How silly am I? That is a custom from Carly Plans. And I did a lot of planning. Like I was trying to catch up with everything. All right. And so then next, I'm going to mark that I went to the library. And that sticker is from Once More with Love. And that script is from Carly Plans. After the library, I went to CVS. And I picked up my medication. And then we decided that we were going to order from Metro Diner. And we wanted the cookie butter waffles and pancakes. And then I'm going to write this in because I had pulled the script, but I think I'm going to. So this was wrong pen. And then we watched Saturday Night Fever. So this was the first time either of us had ever seen this movie. Most of it was shot in my husband's like hometown part of Brooklyn. So he recognized a lot of the places from that opening sequence where he's walking down the streets of Brooklyn. I had no idea that there was really dark themes in this movie. I just thought it was kind of like a disco movie with like Dirty Dancing style, vibes, but there's actually some really horrible stuff that happened towards the end of the film that I was not expecting at all, and I wish somebody would have warned me, but it was a really great movie. So, and then the last thing, I have just a few green scripts left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I have 4. So I need to cut some of these up. I'm not using this as a weekly. Okay. So I am going to just save that. I'll come back to it. All right, so I am going to mark that it was Father's Day. And I actually have in my hobbies, yeah. So this is from Carly Plans, this little like Father's Day ghost. And I actually have the sticker for that, but because I already pulled the one from the freebie, go ahead and do. So it was Father's Day. I did mark that I slept in, and actually no, I'm going to use this. I'm going to cheat and use a header because I've actually been pretty successful at color blocking for this entire thing. I didn't need to use the extra things that I had saved. So that says sleep in, and I have this little bed. Okay. I did mark that I read. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down. And I was reading, what was I reading? I was reading, I can't remember. Isn't that sad? I was reading something on my Kindle. Anyway, the next thing I'll mark is that I did do some planner time. And those are from the bundle. And then the next thing that I'll mark is that I did do some YouTubing. A little binge, as one does. Little YouTube binge. Way too big for this sticker, but that's okay. And then I will mark that I FaceTimed with my parents to wish them happy Father's Day and that we were planning to come and see them soon. And then the last thing that I'll mark is that this is such a silly thing to mark, but I've been trying to mark when I organize my meds, because there's a lot of supplements and stuff I take now. Okay, so that is it. That is the full second half of the week. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out so you can see the full spread in my planner. Oh, it looks so cute. I think this came out really, really nice. I think my dad would be pleased with this. You can see that I like front load, like this part you can barely tell what's underneath the end papers, and on here you can actually see it. So I think that actually looks nice. But anyway, and I'll just show you what I have left of this crazy little kit, because I basically used every last scrap. So these were the flags. There were only 2 that I ended up not using. Used basically all of those, and then I used basically all the deco. And that's it. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next plan with me. Take care. Bye.